Alright guys, my name is Martin Ellis and I'm doing a Padlet on the women in distress of Broward County. And if you just go here, this is the website. You can surf through the website and learn a lot about women in distress. We're located in Broward County. Like I just said, it's in the name as well. You could kind of like go over the impact numbers, the stories of people that the program have helped so far. So yeah, let's head back to the Padlet. So let's just go over a little bit of history about the program. So basically, Women in Distress of Broward County was founded by Eddie Green and a group of concerned citizens in July of 1974. Initially, Women in Distress served as Broward County's first refuge for homeless women in a modest four-bedroom until a local tragedy brought light to the need for shelter for women and their children in danger. We are the only nationally accredited, state-certified, full-service domestic violence center serving Broward County. Our mission is to stop domestic violence abuse for everyone through intervention, education, and advocacy. We offer 24-hour crisis intervention through our 24-hour crisis hotline and emergency shelters, as well as counseling and support for victims and their children. So basically, let's just go over the situation here. So basically, the situation is basically stating the problem that the program, let's just say, is facing as well. Is facing. So the situation is that there are many people that are victims of domestic violence on a daily basis in the Broward County area, and we would like to help those victims at no cost. And in order to do that, we need funding from any organization/person that is willing. So here, let's just go over the inputs. So inputs are resources that go into the program, which could be like personnel, money, and materialistic things. So in the inputs we have, in order for the program to be successful, there are lots of resources that we need to provide for our victims. For example, we need shelters, telephones for the hotline services that we provide. We need experienced volunteers to help facilitate the process of helping each victim. We need instructors to teach these volunteers the proper way to help each victim, and we will also need facilities to host these educational workshops and training for the employees that works with women in distress of Broward County. Most importantly, we will need funding because we're a nonprofit organization that offers all of these services at no cost, and it costs to run the program. So we accept donation from the state of Florida and donations or funding from the state of Florida and Broward County, and anyone that is willing. Our direct service volunteers are volunteers that have obtained clearance through our core competency training to work directly with our participants in our centers. Volunteer areas include assisting our advocates with updating participant files, supervising children in our respite program while mom or dad meets an advocate, and more. So let's just go over some of the activities that we provide. These are the activities that the program engages in. So we have lots of activities going in the Broward County area that provide services to victims/non-victims. For example, we tend to bring awareness by having workshops, campaigns where we inform the community about domestic violence and the signs of it. We also educate them about their rights, specifically the women. We provide a 24-hour crisis hotline, safety plan assistance, counseling and therapy sessions for our victims. Let's just go over to our outcomes. So outcomes are basically the short, medium, and long-term outcomes of the program. Short-term outcomes are basically bringing awareness about like the situation that the program is talking about. So some of it is basically some of the short-term outcome is residents gain knowledge of domestic violence abuse and its effects. Survivors have strategies for enhancing their safety and increase awareness of domestic violence victims in the community. And some of the medium outcomes we should medium is basically change in attitude, or basically taking different actions towards like victims taking different actions towards like domestic violence. So victims receiving the help they need in their time of needs. For victims of domestic violence to not hesitate to call if they are being abused, and more victims will take advantage of the resources that are available to them. And some of our long-term outcomes are women are able to obtain the resources they need to minimize risk of further abuse. Men, women, and their children are safe. Reduced rates of domestic violence, and also victims of domestic violence will improve their future financial stability and avoid having to return to the abusive homes. Like in the program, if we go back to the page here, this page you're talking about, you can learn a lot about how the program have helped people transitioning from being a domestic violence victim to going back into the workforce. It's a process, and we have professionals helping these people out. And let's look at some of our impact. So impacts are basically the intended and unintended impact of the program. So our mission is to stop domestic violence abuse for everyone through intervention, education, and advocacy. Like I said already, Women in Distress of Broward County Inc. has helped countless families affected by domestic violence find safety and hope for over 43 years. The outpouring of support from community members, staff, volunteers, and donors has been the driving force for the success of our agency, and more importantly, the families we serve. The truth is, not all domestic violence victims find their way again, but many lives are saved through that program. Let's kind of look over Katrina's story. If you click on this link right here, you will see how Katrina is a person that kind of like credit women in distress for helping her out, to helping her and her son, you know, out and stuff like that. So basically, that is some of the stories that you could see about how we help many families and stuff like that. So basically, Katrina and her son was in like an abusive home. So, women in the church have to get out of it, and they stayed in a shelter for almost 8 weeks of shelter, that women in distress provided for almost every week. So just go over this story and you'll learn about a lot about her and many more. So let's kind of look over the logic model. So basically, this is the revised logic model. So Women in Distress of Broward County, this is the name of the program. The situation is that there are many people that are victims of domestic violence on a daily basis in the Broward County area, and we'd like to help those victims at no cost. And in order to do that, we need funding from any organization that is willing. And we're not gonna go over all of the inputs, but if we kind of skim through it, it's just like we have shelters, food, and staff. We need like instructors to kind of like teach these people or these volunteers how to properly take care of the victims and stuff. We have the telephones. We need telephones for the hotlines because a lot of people are going to be calling, and we're going to need phones for that. And we need funding from the county and state and people as well, because we need money to keep the program going. And some of our activities is just like we engage in campaigns where communities are being informed about domestic violence, and women especially are being informed about their rights as well. We also have workshops. In the workshops, we're basically educating the community on the signs of domestic violence and prevention. We offer a 24-hour crisis hotline. intervention, and we provide safety plan assistance. So we have professionals helping victims create safety plan in order to prevent further abuse. We also provide counseling and therapy sessions. We provide an area of advocacy and counseling services for women and men who are survivors of domestic violence and their children who are not in need for emergency shelters. So we have individual counseling and adult and child therapy. Let's just go back to the Padlet here. Now, let's just go back to the logic model. So the participants are men, women, children, community, and victims and non-victims. So especially, it is available to anybody that are in needs of the program. And guys, since I just went over the short, medium, and long term, they're basically the same thing. So yeah, it's kind of like the same thing. We're not gonna go over that again. And here we also was on the news as well on Media Group Lifestyle, where we have here one local local woman named Jane Smith credits women in distress for saving her family. So basically, Smith called the crisis hotline to learn more about the organization tools and program in the effort to protect herself and her teenage daughter. So we have a lot of good stories about people that the program have helped so far. And let's just go over the context portion of everything. So context is like there are specific and relevant information that is kind of like presented about the current state of the organization. So far the organization is doing well and it's helping a lot of people. And it's kind of like me and their mission statement and stuff. So our sponsors and donors, walkers, runners, and volunteers taking a step to end domestic violence abuse in the community. So that's basically the description of this photograph right here, because we have these walks and runs in our community all the time, and people kind of like come in here kind of like to bring awareness and kind of like show their support. We have more than $78,000 has been raised through donations, sponsorships, and fundraising efforts so far. That means the community is really into it and they're helping out. Let's just go here, kind of like I have like a picture of where we're located. Like we say, we're located in Broward County, Florida. We have most of the information right here. It's not really a lot to go over, but here it could help to know where we're located. And I don't know, I didn't finish with the impact. Let's go back to the impact right here. I think I went over Katrina's story. So basically, adults and children receive services such as crisis intervention, safe shelter, individual counseling, group sessions, and therapy. So 20,593 calls were answered to our 24-hour crisis hotline. So that means we are here helping out a lot of people, and 1,046 children. Counseling hours were provided. We have 29,454 therapy and advocacy hours. And we have 5,159 safety plans were created for families that are victims of domestic violence. And let's take a look at our indicators. So basically, indicators describe how you will measure like a long-term outcome of the program. So an indicator will be seeing a reduced rate in domestic violence, specifically in Broward County, and also the number of victims that the program have helped. So this could really help the program to know exactly where they at and stuff like that, and how they doing. Sorry about that. Padlet is crazy. Yeah. So yeah, and how they doing. So basically, this is my Padlet, and hopefully you guys likes it. And thank you. And my name is Mark. Thank you for looking over my Padlet.